Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Emergence Days Invitational Week number 10 as we're hopping in to game number 3 of our current semifinal between Reciprocity and the Pittsburgh Knights. Myself, Lando Sanders, along with Taylor Reflections Noble on the cast. It's going to be a fun one. NA versus LATAM. Good old classic rosters facing off for another opportunity to see who can maybe make it to the finals. It would be back-to-back for Rec, as they were your Week 9 winners. A return to glory for Pittsburgh, as they desperately want to do the LATAM scene proud. It's going to be a fun one here, Taylor.
I will say, Pittsburgh Knights, they've been playing well tonight. They've been impressing me. This is definitely the old Ghost roster that I'm accustomed to seeing back in the day. So it's nice to see them back on top and playing as well as they are. We see a domination potentially coming through. Reciprocity looking to get sneaky here. Monkey's trying to hold his own. A nice misrow, unfortunately, for the man of Icy, and he is in fact going to pay. Only 2 players up. This is going to be Powers and Rushy's franchise coming off of spawn. That opens up the door for Pittsburgh Knights to push forward. Rushy's now pushed back. And despite slaying out, Pittsburgh Knights still cannot get a second hill in their favor, and Reciprocity is still tempting at a domination.
They absolutely are. Powers doing some good work on Pittsburgh Knights' home hill. Unfortunately, he'll be foiled, but put up a solid effort nonetheless. And something to keep in mind as we do progress here, obviously, into this game number 3. This is big for Pittsburgh, not only just because it would be them getting into the finals after a long time, but even still yet, as Identifs comes through and knifes up Rushies, Pittsburgh Knights in the last 2 tournaments, the last 2 weeks, have actually fallen in top 8. Now, the thing to consider is not that they've lost versus run-of-the-mill average teams. No, they've lost versus Rise Nation and XNRG. So
Sure.
You have to keep that in mind. From a record standpoint, it may look as if, oh my gosh, a random comeback from Pittsburgh. Not at all the case. They played NRG close. They played Rise very, very close last week as well. So this hasn't just been a random brewing, if you will, of Pittsburgh. It has been a team that has been waiting for the opportunity to pretty much just come through and finally win out versus a top caliber roster, and they're showing out versus arguably, as Ryan called it, obviously known as one of the best teams, but possibly the best team in the game as of right now in Rec.
I think you have to call them the best team, without question, right? They won San Diego, right? Second event still coming up, Mexico. Whoever wins that event might be able to, dethrone that title from Reciprocity, but I don't think anybody can say that they're the best team currently. And whenever it comes, at least to Emergence Days, I would say they are definitely in the running for being the best team, only that behind, or that tied of, rather, for XNRG. If Reciprocity wins tonight, if they make it to finals, they will in fact be the best team in Emergence Days. But what a comeback from Pittsburgh Knights. Landon, they take the round, 3 minutes a long one. Reciprocity was locked at 244, and in the end, Pittsburgh Knights able to take over that victory. Took a while to get there. We see a lot of bodies dropped, and it was impressive from Pittsburgh Knights when we got on board with them. They were able to apply that pressure, slay out. I think at one point they had 4 players down or 3 players down in Reciprocity, but they still weren't able to get a 2-cap. And it took them a long time to do so, but they stuck together. They played well. They didn't drop, most importantly, and Pittsburgh Knights got the domination just in the nick of time. So they are going to be leading 1-0 over the favorite team of Reciprocity.
And one thing to consider as well is that the amount of elim difference between Pittsburgh and Reciprocity in that first round as well. I know, we could obviously be getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but you see Franchise and Icy already at 2 out of 4. Now, the reason why I bring this up, and I know that Reciprocity is a very well-seasoned team. They're going to be a roster that is going to be aware of those respawns throughout. However, they could get into a few sticky situations. Training grounds a lot of times can go to the very end based on the way that this game plays. And lives are lost in that meantime. And so far throughout Emergence Days, week number 10, we've seen a lot of players in pretty much every single one of our series, this one included, that have lost lives early and could not rebound and lost rounds based off of that being the case. Rise, in their first round series, had that same issue occur where they were winning versus a very solid team in Fire and Ice, but they were struggling a lot because of the matter of just not having enough lives.
Right. Lives matter, right? And you have to think about that. You have to maintain your respawn economy. Where did District go wrong, right? And I believe it was right before the round, the final round that we saw. I told you, Pittsburgh Knights, they won 2 rounds. They won that round, and they also won the respawn economy, which set them up nicely for the next round, and that's actually what solidified it, and that's why they took that last district map 5-2. You've got to be thinking about how you spend your lives, how you make these pushes. It's so incredibly crucial, and Dezo sitting at 1 of 4 definitely worries me. But then again, though, onto the side of Reciprocity, you got a lot more players on average who are lower than that on Pittsburgh Knights.
Good point to bring up. Pittsburgh, in the meantime, having pretty much a player on every single portion of the map through the half-yard line, at least for the moment. They had to back up. As for why, Reciprocity started to engage. Powers up close. Two enemies in front of him. Trying to reference out, and can he escape? He will, just in the nick of time. The pinch was nearly inbound. That would pretty much seal the fate, if you will, for Rec. As you see Pittsburgh, they're investing a lot toward the top side of the map. At one point, they were going to have a 4 versus 2. So the fact that Powers escapes there is not only just impressive, but it's also what could have decided a very early fate. Reciprocity up to 194. They'll start to lose over at B. Powers trying to provide some pressure, and keep in mind his perspective. He may try to force the issue over at A. He does have player number 5, a.k.a. Icy. Here comes the challenge, and Dezo,
got out.
He managed to do the exact same thing that Powers just did.
Wow, getting out of there was something special, right? Getting sandwich shot from the back. And Icy just couldn't capitalize. Reciprocity still not able to win this round, right, in the given number of times. So Pittsburgh Knights still in control, and they're locking it down as a couple of crucial kills. Rushies and Franchise will drop, and you're right, landed the OE. It has to happen, and it has to happen.
They got the revive. They got the revive. That's big. However, you have to keep in mind, Pittsburgh, they're still earning points. They still have B in one player trying to stay up over at C. He will lock it in. A big clutch for Dezo, and a big moment for him. A 200 IQ, as we like to call it, as he'll just make sure that Pittsburgh nonetheless would have that extra capture locked in, as that is a very solid first 2 rounds. Obviously the first arguably more dominant than the second, but still yet you like the way that Pittsburgh play this. And my curiosity is Reciprocity, when do you decide, the same way that we saw it happen on what was it, a district?
Yeah.
When do you bring in the drop shot, right?
Well,
Drop shot, very common,
time.
right? Very common to see it over at B, or rather, excuse me, over at Overlook once
second half,
we see C pop up as that, but still, or rather E, excuse me. I'm throwing a lot of different alphabet letters out there. Regardless, if they start to struggle, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if Reciprocity look at that as kind of their saving grace.
I think Pittsburgh Knights, it's important that they are winning these initial rounds off of this first half. They need to stack as many as they can, because I think Reciprocity is really going to start heating up when we do in fact see E come through, when we see that drop shot fight take place. Why? Well, specifically because of the man of Rushies, and I think Rushies is going to be a crucial component to winning those initials on second half. But this first half is 100% in favor of Pittsburgh Knights. They have absolutely been walking through Reciprocity, and they're going for a domination here. Monkeys, he's going to put his hat in the ring. A couple of utilities being thrown out. Hits Kenny with the brick, runs through Rushies. Kenny now last up in a 1v2. Still staying up for himself. That gives him enough time for Icy to drop in. Icy is going to be sandwiched. Nice snub shots from Monkeys. Misroll, though, he's going to get taken out, unfortunately. In Reciprocity, they're going to stay alive for the time being. And actually, they might even come out ahead with an A-B split. Yeah, they will, in fact, be doing so. But players to watch out for. Rushies, 1 out of 4. Franchise, 1 out of 4 himself. This only second round.
Dezo on the other end, the only player for Pittsburgh currently at 1 out of 4 as well. And this is the same play for Rec, right? Grab the advantage and hold on, but take a look toward the top side of the map. Pittsburgh starting to force the issue. I'm sure Icy and Kenny there fully ready with the call-outs. Pittsburgh, they've looked great on the overextensions as indicated at the very start of this round. Will they do it again? Is that the play? And if you're Sleeper, if you can get a knock on the Kenny, that would be massive, as you just have one less Lancer firing at you. Oh, he's so close.
So close.
Kenny brought down to 2 health. 2% health. That's all he had. Regardless, the fights are going down elsewhere, and Rushies is having a great time with it. Taken down for the moment. Powers is still trying to make some work happen as well. Referencing back, Reciprocity in control at B. Pittsburgh do force the overextension. And they will be able to lock this one in a little bit late to the party. Franchise, nonetheless, along with Kenny, trying to retake back over their hill, which this will give Pittsburgh the lead, but not the hill advantage, at least for now. Keep in mind, Reciprocity, well, they are going to walk away with this fight. There is a big fight partaking as well over at B. Treacherous territory. Monkeys does manage to take down Rushies, and now it's going to be up to Powers, who does manage to walk away with that fight. So Reciprocity, they'll also hold on to B, but no one, they might have to force the issue at C. They're going to have to go for one of these home hills. They're going to have to try and escape. Player 1 off of spawn is going to go for that. This is very scary if you're Pittsburgh.
It absolutely is, and they're starting to commit a lot of lives. Chaos as well as Dezo. They're going to be on their last life. Reciprocity going for the domination, and it couldn't be touched. Dezo tried to get a toe in to Bravo, and it wasn't enough. And it's encouraging to see Reciprocity win at least one round off of this first half. And on top of that, they really hurt the respawn economy of Pittsburgh Knights, and it started because PK tried to go for that overextension. They tried to go for the domination, and it didn't work out. Franchise slayed out alongside Kenny, and a couple of good pickups for Reciprocity on those downs, able to get their teammates back up and avoid them getting dropped. Pittsburgh Knights, if they won that overextension, they would have won the round. But Reciprocity, a good fight for their home hill, took place. They win it. And now Reciprocity very much so in position to tie up this game 2-2 going into second half.
Yeah, very well could be the case. Big round if you're Rec. A bigger round if you're Pittsburgh. See how these initials partake as we enter into the last round of the half. Flashes, utility, tossed out. No surprise, of course. Not surprise for me, though. Rushies, first man taken down. As Identims and Rushies continue their first blood battles. That will be Identims who does walk away successfully this time. And take a look, player 7, player 9 actually toward Pittsburgh that do go for what seemed to be a pinch opportunity. But Reciprocity, all the more aware, actually go for a second flank onto the opposition. That allows for Rec now to have control, and now they're starting to force the OE. Lovely work and great communication for Rec. And Icy, ready for the 1v1, misses the flash, it seems. Monkeys not all that affected by it. Nice early shots from Monkeys, and along with the teammate assistance will allow for what looked like a solid OE chance to no longer progress as Rec hop on B.
Pittsburgh Knights sticking together, forcing the issue. It's going to be a 3v2 up top, and you got to watch out, though. Rushies brings it to a 2v2, and that kind of puts Reciprocity now in the advantage as Rushies last life, Monkeys last life as well. So things are getting a little bit tricky here. And Reciprocity now feeling very much so in control, right? This is where they feel comfortable. They're backing off the fight. They're going to take the point lead very soon. They've got Bravo and Charlie. They're going to wait for Pittsburgh Knights to make a move and hopefully, at least in their case, make a mistake.
Dezo, you see him pull out the utility. What they're going to need, unfortunately, he'll be one of the first lines of offense to fall. And Franchise on the flank, there's 3 players down, and no one's there to pick them up or finish them off. Who's going to get here first? Identims. He'll get the revive off, gets a big tag into Rushies. Keeping in mind that if Rushies does get taken down, he is done for. And a big sequence. Powers coming from the flank, having a part to play in 3 players dropping. And my goodness. Take a look to the other side in that fight as Monkeys drops. That was his last life. Dezo, Identims on 0. At the same time, Franchise and Rushies are as well. There goes Chaos. However, Powers taken down. One player that's not affected by respawns. Dezo, big one up close. A big one up close, but along with him as the missile comes through, Pittsburgh, they all have to step up right now. Player 8 hopping on the decap. It's all about the pressure at B. Player 9 has to go big considering the amount of players that are alive. It's just not looking good anymore. Sleeper drops. And so does the final player. The nail in the coffin cannot be started as Rec tossing flashes in the air. Fireworks as they manage to hold on and tie this one at 2-2.
That third round set up Reciprocity so well for the last round and a half for fourth. And, you know, their respawn economy was solid. They slayed out. They played their numbers appropriately. Pittsburgh Knight did exactly what they needed to do. They went for the OE, but it just wasn't enough. That fight up top now where the neutral hill is going to be over on Overlook, That's where the fight needed to take place, and Pittsburgh Knights needed to win that. They were in a 3v2 at one point. I think it was Rushies who ended up slaying out one of them, and then that's really where the plan for Pittsburgh Knights started to fall apart, and that's where Reciprocity really started to achieve that victory. Overall, going into the second half tied up, you're feeling good, you don't have a loss, and now you're going into your favorite part. I think Reciprocity is really going to be favored on this up-top fight.
See exactly how they play. Of course, one of the main guys to have the spotlight on. And shout out to Observers for, of course, realizing this is going to be Rushies. Big 1v1 off the rip, as at least for now, he's not the one actually getting any gunfights. It's actually his teammates. And Identivs is cleaning house. His second one so far, as 3 players already down for wreck, and Rushies can't afford to fall here. He will. Icy, the last man over at E, and this may be Reciprocity just handing in the towel, however. Still going for it. They're going to send out 2 scouts. See how this one works, and they're going to invest in this round. Stock that may be questionable, but a confidence for good reason. Powers up close. The cycling, the rotations, the dance moves, the movement.
Jeez.
And even the pistol as well. Powers has got everything in the bag ready to go, and up close. What a play from Powers. Literally rolled into the player with the body shield. I think took him down anyway, and he's not stopping. Incredible work from Reciprocity, as this has been the issue at times for Pittsburgh. They get on the rush, and they do not back up. Reciprocity has made them pay numerous times so far, Taylor.
High risk versus high reward, right? It's so risky making that push because you never know when someone's going to pop off. In this case, it was just Powers. Put Reciprocity on his back. They committed a lot to staying alive this round, and it might be worth it. You see quite a few players on 2 out of 4 lives. Rushies, if he decides to spawn up, he's going to be at 1 out of 4. Could it be worth it, though, right? Being up 3-2, you got to think about the longevity, though, of the second half. Would it have been worth it to give up that round, start fresh in the next? Well, we'll find out as the story is going to be told later on. You do notice, though, player number 3 from Reciprocity, Powers, he rotates over, gets neutralization on one of the hills, but forced to back off. It just wasn't going to be smart to apply that pressure in that 1v2. He finds a different angle. He'll do some chip damage, but more so, I think at this point, he was just being a nuisance more so than an actual threat.
Pittsburgh, they clear him out. Franchise in the meantime does take down 1, but he will be the sole man up. Kenny, Icy, Rushies choosing not to respawn in, not going to join alongside their captain. They said the ship is sunk. Pittsburgh, that is their 3rd. And a big one for them to win coming into the second half, as we alluded to it. Taking a look at a few players to look out for. Powers, Monkeys. I'm sure that was Identim's most likely at 25. I'm just going to assume it was, just because of the way that he has slayed out so far. And that's the issue that Reciprocity have had to deal with, is just that consistent slaying. Granted, the rotations, the way that they have looked at times has been excellent, but when it came down to those initials, the main story of the first 20 seconds, Pittsburgh taking 3 down from wreck, 4 down from wreck.
Yeah, written all over the wall. I mean, you know what was interesting about that fight is they didn't challenge Rushies over against that wall. They actually went to overlook position.
They flashed him and challenged elsewhere.
They just wrapped around, and that was a really unorthodox push that I think caught Reciprocity off guard. Let's see if they counter here.
Oh, and Rushies instantly tries to go for the flank. Thwarted, counted out. Franchise doing some work up close. He'll even the fight. Flashes and utility everywhere, and Identivs has a scent onto 1. Decides to mantle, and Powers will make him pay. Good effort, as Powers actually does have to mantle back over, feeling the flames, as E looks to be in control of Pittsburgh. They have to back up. Not in their control. Neutral hill, still neutral. Powers doing some great work, and pretty much due to Pittsburgh Knights players not rotating out as early as you would like, they will lose the hills and overall lose the player count advantage, as now their attention's focused elsewhere.
I was about to say, look how quickly they're stacking down low to go for the OE. It looked as if they were just going to commit 4 strong over. But they know they can't do that. They have to apply some attention up top, right? They can't allow Reciprocity to just maintain E, but also have that free lane over towards D, because as soon as they capture F, Rec was going to be all over D, and that was going to be an even deadlier position, because now you're thinking Reciprocity, they're easily off of respawn going to be able to capture F. So with that being said, you do see a lot of pressure on that OE. Pittsburgh Knights down low. And with that many bodies, they're easily going to be able to retake this. But now you got to be thinking, will Reciprocity be able to capitalize? They're going for the OE themselves.
Ensign tossed out, nothing lands. Chaos. Lots of damage done as he actually will be taken down. That was great support and team fire coming through from Rec to single out one. Tags up close. Icy, not a whole lot of damage affected. As again, the 2v1 fights and Reciprocity will win true. However, it's all just about supplying the pressure if you're Pittsburgh. Big fights going down as well over at D. Player 7, player 1. That's Monkeys. That's Rushies. And it will, in fact, be Monkeys who wins out for now. Rushies decides to back up and go elsewhere. And in the meantime, Reciprocity have still yet to grab control over their own home hill. But there we go. Rushies and Powers, they instantly just turn up. They take down 2. They've still got control over E.
There it is.
And Rushies as well. Solidifies 1. And they'll win it. They find so many collectively that Pittsburgh, they can't hold on.
Huge round from Reciprocity. Slaying out as they did, holding their own. Pittsburgh Knights, once again, what got the best of them? Getting aggressive, going for the OE. And it seems as if when Pittsburgh Knights tries to get in the face of Reciprocity, you have those players, Powers, you have Rushies, you have Kinney who turns up, they slay out, and they continue to slay wave after wave of Pittsburgh Knights. They continue to do that specifically in this next round here, and they take it 4-3. If they outslay Pittsburgh Knights in this situation, they should win this 5-3 because they'll have control of Respawn Economy. This next round is going to tell the tale of the final.
You should wave after wave.
Wave after wave. Is that what you're going for?
I was.
Okay.
Just a little bit. I was just, you know.
I thought you were. It's a good song, man.
Drifting away. Okay.
I think the guy who makes that, his name is like Milky or something.
Milky?
I think it is, man. You think he would have came up with a better name. If you're watching a broadcast, Milky, I apologize. It just so happens to be
I have no
just
idea.
the biggest Gears fan in the world.
It's just a mega fan of
Wave
Pittsburgh.
After Wave was written about
the waves of players you take
the
down.
waves of players you take down.
Yep, exactly.
Escalation. Good stuff.
Rushies, Reciprocity looking good so far throughout this one, and Rushies just manages to somehow dodge not only a shot, but as well as an Ensign. Ready for his face on the other end, though. Powers, he'll take down Dezo and Monkeys, both with the Ensign. And Powers as well from the flank doing some excellent work. You can see the Flames are still doing so much damage. He'll sacrifice his life, but it was all for the sake of the round. Great work from Reciprocity, and look at what they do. Back up. Don't try to force something. They did lose Powers in that position. They had 4 strong, but not a full 5. I like that play from Rec, and we'll see if it does work out. Obviously, Pittsburgh, a fantastic team. It's just something that you have to notice from Reciprocity each time. They force the issue, and they reference back always.
You know, right at this point, Reciprocity, they're chilling, right? They've got their Bull Talk, so they have the stopping power if a player decides to push up. They've got the angles right. Lancer Fire, you're seeing Kenny utilize it incredibly well. They know the push is coming for this OE.
Nice.
And Kenny goes through, hits Dezo hard, but not going to be enough. Icy on the other end. Monkeys get caught off guard. Icy unfortunately didn't have his shotty available, and he's forced to back up. He's going to be injured. And this is a really aggressive push from Pittsburgh Knights. They are literally trying to spawn trap Reciprocity back. And they're going to pay for that. Pittsburgh Knights on the back pedal. They've got D and F, but they haven't sent anybody over towards D. And I think that's going to be their downfall. They're committing quite a bit on this push. But I got to say, though, it's putting them in the game. They should be able to make this comeback possible. They should be able to close this deficit, and I think they're going to be able to do so. But you do notice Reciprocity once again hopping on their home hill. They finally stopped Pittsburgh Knights. But for how long? You notice they immediately rotated over. They won that fight up top. It was only Franchise trying to hold it down. They're going to have control over E. Pittsburgh Knights in the driver's seat.
Yeah, that was a good fight for them to take. Obviously, they supply their forces elsewhere as there we go. And sends yet again. Rushies, Kenny coming through, finding 2 collective. Beware, though, those players on the top side of the map. Pittsburgh does not have every single one of their players invested here at their home hill. They're also thinking about the future. And it will be Reciprocity who takes control here. A lovely shot from Monkeys off the rip. That's exactly what you need from an entry, but Powers, of course, is on the flank, as always. Reciprocity with control at one home hill. Pittsburgh contesting for the other. Time down to the wire. If you're Pittsburgh, you have to take this. You have to find it, but they're losing player after player. Chaos.
He has to go big.
A big situation for him, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to occur. And Reciprocity, through wave after wave, grab their 4th round.
I mentioned it before, right? This was going to be the round to kind of solidify, I think, who's going to win 5-3. And I think Reciprocity might be able to take this. They've got they've got control of Respawn Economy. They're winning their initials. They're looking solid. I think one of the player on Pittsburgh Knights is going to be 1 out of 4 immediately upon spawning back up. He was on his last life just a little bit earlier. Pittsburgh Knights going to have to play this next round very well. They're going to have to play it nearly perfectly if they want to tie this, at least this game up here 4-4. If they want their chance to be in grand finals. Ever since week number 4, they haven't been able to make it there. The furthest has just been semifinals overall. A little bit of a better showing here this week than the previous 2 weeks, but regardless, though, they don't want to stop here. They want to continue going. They want to represent the LATAM scene, play against Rise. But this initial here, this break is going to be the crucial one, and this is really what's going to set the precedence if Pittsburgh Knights has a chance.
Pittsburgh, it's all or nothing. Rushies, you see him instantly trying to establish control in that flanking chaos. He gets locked in. Perfect positioning for Reciprocity off the start. Rushies pretty much locks up that line side and no longer has any situation. And Powers is on the flank. He's got the ball talk. Can Pittsburgh get here in time? They have to make their way up the stairs. Thankfully, they managed to get the deny, but it looks scary off the start. Powers just tempting his way over little by little. Pittsburgh, they hold on just in the nick of time, and now they're also threatening for the overextension. Kenny, the first line of defense for Reciprocity, trying to hold valiantly. He'll take down the first. And Pittsburgh will have to reference back for now. You hear the incense, you hear the damage. Can they get that finalization? No, they can't. Monkeys holds on. That's a big play from Pittsburgh. Keeping their man count up, keeping their troops alive is all that they need. Looks as if the fight now partaking at E. Pittsburgh, they're on the rotation.
Yeah, they're on the rotation, but they just keep throwing random strategies out, right? At first they were going for the OE, it didn't work. Now they're backing up. Reciprocity is still very much in control over what Pittsburgh Knights is doing. And if Pittsburgh doesn't take hold of this round, it's going to be trouble. But watch out, 2 players will drop, Franchise and Icy. Rushies will join, Powers as well. Icy will spawn back up, Kenny's up. Pittsburgh Knights will retake E.
Look at Kenny in the spot.
But Kenny does, in fact, get in a sneaky spot. He is, in fact, going to go for the challenge, but the misroll takes place. That's going to be Pittsburgh Knights recovering their home hill, and this is their opportunity to turn things around. Still, though, they've got to get a break on F. That's going to be their only chance.
They do a huge opportunity for Pittsburgh. Let's see if they can rally back. A big opportunity for them, and they're going to have to go for the domination. They can't just hold on to E and D. And honestly, if you're Reciprocity, not that you necessarily back up, but they have to be careful in this position. They're starting to lose some players. However, Franchise is staying alive. Carves up Monkeys. And Powers and Fran are pretty much doing this, not necessarily solo, but they're making so much work happen, and they're not stopping. Lovely plays from Rec.
Powers at 40 elims landed.
Going off so far, and he tosses out the instant. Unfortunately, can't make it land. Up close. Lovely damage. Pittsburgh starting to head into a frenzy. Players off of spawn as it's all for naught. Reciprocity will win this game in a Game 3 thriller on Training Grounds, 5 rounds to 3, as Reciprocity will now find themselves against Rise Nation in the finals here of week number 10.
Like I said before, right, it really came down to Reciprocity setting themselves up nicely in round number 7. They got control of Respawn Economy. It didn't play that much of an impact in round 8, but regardless, though, I got to tilt my hat over to Powers, man. Yeah. What a great game he had. 40 elims in the end. I think he had like 12 deaths overall. Fantastic. Anytime you get over 40 or get in the 40 range, you're having a fantastic game.
You're having a ball.
And you know, you need to play like that because of Vexy's earlier, right? I believe in round 1, he dropped the 40 bomb.